What's up, guys? Ncaa31 here, bringing you a little bit of online dynasty preview vid. I got my college football preview video coming up soon, which will be up before the Saturday games. How great is it to have football back? College football, and pretty soon the NFL. But here you go with SMU. Your run and shoot, your old school run and shoot, all under all under center. SMU Mustangs. You see Garrett Gilbert, the last we saw of him was, for most of us, back in the national championship game when he was backing up Mr. Colt McCoy and had to come into the game because Colt got injured. Here you look at my backfield. I have a pretty decent offense as far as personnel goes. As you saw, I'm in pretty good shape at quarterback, where I'm pretty young at my backups. Gilbert leaves, and I have Snead and young Prescott line at running back, and here are my receivers. Not bad at all when you consider the level of teams that we're playing with. I got my slot receiver there with the 87 route running and a good catching traffic rating, which I have to have. Decent guys on the outside. A couple of guys I'm going to have to replace. But overall, I get half of them back, and the guys who I'm recruiting are pretty darn good. I have this guy here, a tight end. I'm going to eventually position change to wide receiver at some point, but he's useful for when I go into ace sets, ace spread, or I should say ace Y trips and slot sets. Offensive line, this left tackle is pretty good. Of course, he'd have to be a senior, but he's my best lineman, one of my best overall players. I just don't have a lot of depth there. But, overall, offensively, I have the tools to make my run and shoot go at a somewhat respectable level. I mean, I can use some help at guard, and, my center is okay. I can actually probably slide one of those centers to guard if I really wanted to, but I try to keep my depth chart, pure, so to speak, and do my position changes after the first season. Right tackle is pretty good. Now on defense is where things get really, really ugly. Going to see lots of mediocre to flat out bad block shedding and pass rush moves, whether it be finesse or power. Mediocre athleticism and tackling and awareness and strength, which is, death. Absolute death for the 3-3-5 stack among my linebackers and defensive line. This guy, Zach Wood, is not terrible. He's only a sophomore, so, he's got some upside, but just mediocre. This is my best guy, my saving grace, as far as having a strong, stout plugger there who can get off blocks and make things happen along the defensive line, and, keep my linebackers and safeties in my stack from getting just detonated. You'll see what I'm looking at as a linebacker in a little bit. So most of my recruiting has been mainly on defense, trying to get some people on my defensive line and linebacker. Low awareness there. Decent tackling, but can't get off blocks. Mediocre zone coverage there, pretty poor. But you can only deal with what you have, in season number 1. That's why we're recruiting hard. My linebacker unit, this guy is pretty good. And I have some coverage specialists and some pass rush specialists that I formation sub from my middle linebacking unit, which is unusual at a middle linebacker. So you see there, one guy's good at coverage 74, the other guy has a pass rush move in the 80s, and I formation sub as need be. And this guy's another ham and egger, low block shedding, mediocre covering, and you're gonna see how it's all going to play out with these user games that are now coming up. We've been playing some CPU games, now we're to the meat and potatoes as far as the user games go. Corners aren't that terrible, really. I have some guys who can at least give me a chance. I got mid-80s there in man coverage. One guy with 79 zone, which is dicey, another guy in the 70s. But man coverage, 4 across the board in the low to mid 80s is okay. It's manageable. And a couple of them can press pretty nicely. It's not great, but it won't completely humiliate me out there. I've been using this guy a bit, just gotten some of his awareness, stuff like that up. But, you know, he's an adequate zone coverer. He's aware. He can tackle. You know, pretty good space player. Strong safety. This strong safety is a good run splitter. He's my prototypical 3-3-5 stack strong safety that I have to have. And ideally, I want 2 of them. I have, you know, 1.5. The other guy's a true freshman who's got a lot of upside. He's got, you know, block shed in the high 60s, which for a true freshman is not bad at all. And zone coverage in the 70s, which I can work with. And of course, I have my highest of my kick power punter and kicker doing my place kicking. So that is SMU. Games coming up soon. I'll see you all later.